Michael, a good team performance against Swansea, and the team looked fresh and rejuvenated. You know, there were excellent individual performances from Jaden Philogene-Bidace, Phil Jagielka and Lewis Baker, to name a few. It seems as though there's a renewed belief in the side that have come about with your new signings.
I think it's a combination of the new players coming in has given us a lift. I think also our injury list is a lot less than what it was previously. You know, at this minute in time, we're missing Mario Vrancic and we're missing Romain Sawyers, who's edging closer to a return. Obviously, Harry's longer term, but we were carrying a lot more injuries for a longer period there. So I think all of those things with the new players together help strengthen the squad, and hopefully it remains that way between now and the end of the season.
You've got a tough schedule ahead, and starting with Nottingham Forest, who've won 4 of their last 5, notably against Leicester in the Cup, and a good win at Blackburn. They're now in 6th spot and have got that feel-good factor, but Stoke have scored in 6 of the last 7, and Forest in every game of the last 7, so it's got nail all across it, hasn't it?
Well, we're not going there looking for that, again. But yeah, look, we're creating a lot of chances in the game. We were very dominant in the game on Tuesday night against a team who, are arguably the most dominant possession-based team in the league, and statistics will back that up. But we dominated the game, I felt, from start to finish. We're well worthy of the 3-goal advantage, if not more. And so look, we look forward to the game. You're right, Forest are very much the form team in the league, I would suggest. Along with Fulham, they've played extremely well. The manager's had a real positive effect since he came in there, clearly. They've spent money. They've brought players in on big wages. They've spent money in the transfer window as well. And, that's been shrewd business for them as well.
They've got the threats of Spence and Johnson down the right, and Surridge will obviously, if he gets on the pitch, want to prove a point and leave a reminder at the club. They've got quite a youthful side too, haven't they? But will you be using the approach of you'll be more concerned about what you do rather than what they do?
I think we always approach the game in that way. I think you always have to be mindful of, what the opposition, what their strengths are, and we're aware of that. Spence is having an excellent season. Davis, is an expensive player, but he's proven his worth in the Championship. They've obviously brought Surridge to the club. Cook at the back is a very experienced player at this level and has been very successful, in Championship teams and getting promoted. So, but for us, we will take all that into consideration. But our focus is primarily on ourselves and our level of performance, and that's where our approach has been. We've had a good week, and we get the chance to obviously have an even better week tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to ask you now about the injury updates, because at this time of the season, you could do with a really fully fit squad. How's Campbell after his knock midweek?
Well, Therese is not as bad as we first feared, which was good, which is obviously, given the recent history, you're always nervous about it. Not that you fear the worst, but you feel for the lad having to come off. And he just needs to be assessed, really. We're building him back up. He's obviously seen the specialist that operated on his knee. He's comfortable with how the knee is. And we just have to see whether we can, reintegrate him into training slowly so that we don't have, a situation where another procedure is needed. But he's been managed very, very carefully. As we talked about, Tyrese's was a complex injury, so we knew that it was something that would possibly rear its head again, which it has done. But the important thing is he feels quite good about it. The medical team are relatively positive about it as well as we can be, without being raising expectations too much. But Tyan himself feels good. He was on the exercise bike yesterday. I think he's been on the Ultra G treadmill today. So we're optimistic that we can get him back playing sooner rather than later.
Can I just confirm then that it was the same leg that he had the operation on?
It was, yeah, it was. Yeah. I was mistaken in that. Sorry, yeah, it was.
Don't give up your job and become a doctor then, Michael.
No, well, on the touchline, I have a lot more to deal with. And then when I come out and speak to you, Ange, I'm absolutely freezing and my hip's killing me. So sometimes I get things wrong, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm sure I get far more on than you. And you say Sawyers and Vrancic are coming back quite well.
Sawyers is good. Yeah, he trained a little bit yesterday with the squad. He's still too soon for him. He's with the fitness team today, but we would get, hopefully, Remain will get a full week's training next week without any sort of restrictions on that, and then he will come into contention thereafter. You know, we just got to see whether there's a beneficial of him playing in a 23s game. I'm not sure there is. We just got to wait and see how he looks in training, but he will be back soon. And Mario's responding well. Mario's hopefully return to training within the next maybe 10 days to 2 weeks.
The youth of the squads are positive, but how important are the experienced players now, as the young players can be inconsistent? And I'm thinking of the likes of Jagielka, Alan, Klukas, and then you've got the self-belief of Lewis Baker, who's come in and seems to exude self-confidence.
Well, yeah, the older players are very important. You know, like we're delighted with, the young players that we have, and we've got, a considerable amount of them in the team. You know, we had that earlier in the season as well. You know, we had a back three at one point earlier in the season and a goalkeeper that were, basically 21 and under. So that's all very positive. But you need good players around them. And you rightly say, Jagielka, Jester, Allen, Fletcher, Klukas. There's a lot of championship games in those players. Tommy Smith, Morgan Fox, they're all very experienced at this level. So, whether they're in the team or not in the team, they're a help to the younger players. And I think, that's healthy for the squad. But certainly, the energy that the younger players have brought to the team is something that which I think certainly we've benefited from.
And there's lots of talk at the moment about one of your managerial staff being touted around for a job at Walsall. I'm sure you would like to keep all your staff in position.
Yeah, look, Dean's not that long at the club. He's less than a year at the club. So, but his reputation in the game is extremely high, which is why I went and got him. He's had previous management. He had the opportunity at Bristol City, which I think was probably a difficult opportunity to go in as your first manager to have that type of job. And but equally, I don't envisage him, losing him in this situation. He obviously has a connection to the club because he started his coaching career and was a player there, so that's natural. But I think he's enjoying the challenge here, and he's been an excellent addition to our squad, our coaching staff, and certainly we don't want anything to change there.
Finally, from me, there'll be 2,000 Stoke fans wishing you well tomorrow. How important are they in matches like this?
Brilliant. The away support's been terrific. You know what I mean? Really great support. Forest are going well, so I'd expect that it'll be as close to a sellout as possible. They're in a great place, so it'll be a good game, great atmosphere. And we got to go and enjoy the game. That's the most important thing. We have a game in hand on them, so if we can get 3 points tomorrow, it puts us in a strong position, and we'll need every one of those 2,000 fans behind us.
Thank you, Michael. Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, Michael, I just started asking about the way Steve Cooper has changed the dimension at Nottingham Forest in the way he's brought more of a pressure game, and that's the way he will do that now. Excuse me.
Well, I think you can only play in a way which is best suited to the players that you have. And, clearly Forest, invested heavily in their team in January, and that's allowed them to be that team that can maybe have more energy, a bit like ourselves, to be honest. And, Keenan Davis has, been a good signing. We expensive signing. We were very close to doing him at the start of the season, but he got injured, and then we weren't in a position to afford to be able to do it in January. And obviously, Steve Cook's a very experienced player and has been a very strong addition. And they've bought Sam as well, so they've added to their squad well, and that's probably enabled Steve to be able to change a little bit in terms of how they want to go about how they play as a team as well. And we're a bit the same. the players that we brought in have allowed us to change a little bit our style of play as well, and we've changed our system in recent weeks. So I think that's necessary when you have such a demanding season over 46 games, that you do try and refresh and rejuvenate the squad at the right time.
You see a lot of similarities then in the two teams, because I know you like to play the two attacking fullbacks, and they are very similar in that style. So is the possibility, probably not, that you could cancel each other out?
Not necessarily. I think, they've played since Steve came in with a back three and two wing backs, similar to what we had played pretty much since the start of the season. Their system mirrors more what we were playing previously. Obviously, in recent games, we've played 4-3-3. So I think what we have now is we've got good flexibility in our dressing room to be able to change. There is games where it's more suited to play with a back three and possibly a front two. And equally, there's games where we're more suited to play with a 4-3-3. So, as I say, we haven't concentrated. We obviously give respect to Forest and we look at them closely, but our focus has been on how we play.
But both teams going with the momentum, and it won't sort out wherever you finish in the league. But there's a lot at stake, Michael, isn't there?
Well, 3 points is at stake. I don't look at it any more than that, really. We can look at the league table and see that, where we are behind Forest, and we have a game in hand, and we can look at all those different scenarios that may or may not play out between now and the end of the season. But, what's on offer tomorrow is 3 points, and we obviously have to, do everything possible to try and take them.
You have to manage your players, Michael, and I'm sure you do that all the week. But the fact you had a game in midweek and you've had a couple of injuries, particularly to Tyrese, when you assess the people going into this game, do you look at the frame of mind they're in, not only physically, because that's the big state as well, but mentally?
I think mentally players are in a good place when they're playing and winning. So, that's been a positive with the level of performance and the win on Tuesday. Physically, we look at it. Forest played Wednesday, so we could see that as a little bit of advantage. But they're in a great place in terms of they're in a great run of form. It's always easier coming off a midweek away game if you've got a home game on the Saturday. I always think that helps in terms of your preparation. So look, we've got one or two little bumps and bruises, but as I say, I think we'll pick a team as strong as we can to deal with the threat for us tomorrow, but also impose ourselves in the game as well.